What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into another episode of My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Sleaze. Today's episode, we're going to be diving into my 5 smash start wide receivers based on the matchups, based off the statistics, based off some injuries that I'm going to break down why I like these guys to give you a ceiling of 20-plus points and a floor of 15-plus points this week and should be in your lineup 100%. Before we dive into it, guys, make sure you tap that thumbs up, hit that subscription button, turn that bell on. I'll be live here in 2 hours, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going over everything you guys need for Week 7, the start-sit show. If you guys can't make the live show, drop any comments you want down below. I try to answer every single one of them for you guys. It's becoming tough, but I'm still working to get it done. And if you guys haven't checked out drafters.com, both these are pinned in the comments and the description, and the Guys FF Discord. We do best ball drafts, pick 'em, DFS. I'm going to drop my ticket in there tonight that I think is an absolute lock tonight. So those are both pinned in there as well, guys. Now let's take a look at my 5 wide receivers. And these are, I don't use like the superstar names. I think that's cheesy. These are 5 wide receivers that you should 100% have in your roster heading into Week 7. Starting off with number 1, and get your popcorn ready. The wide receiver 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs is back in Rashee Rice, and it is going to be electric right out the gates, guys. It is not going to be, if you've seen the updates, it is not going to be like he's worked back in. It's something I alluded to in all of my buy low videos for weeks and weeks and weeks to overpay for this guy, because what you saw, and I know you could use Xavier Worthy's shoulder as an injury, he's not really a wide receiver 1. He's going to be like a Jameson Williams, a Rashid Shaheed, a Matthew Golden type, boomer bust type, big break wide receiver. This is your alpha 9 to 10 target a game guy wide receiver. If you look at Rashee Rice last year, he was averaging 22 points a game before he got injured in Week 4. He was wide receiver 2. He was targeted 9.5 times a game. That was like top 5 in target production. Now you have Patrick Mahomes on the revenge tour, and he's the number 1 overall player in fantasy football. He's been playing out of his absolute goddamn mind. He's probably chasing Baker Mayfield for the MVP right now. You can even throw Dak Prescott in there with how good he's playing, although they keep losing games. But now, in this game back here, you already see the lines that he has. He has a 57.5 over-under receiving line on his first game back. That is higher than freaking half the wide receivers that have been playing this season. That is how much they expect Rashee Rice to ball out, as do I. You get the Las Vegas Raiders, whose team is in disarray. They're in absolute shambles. Jacoby Myers wants out. It is not working out. Brock Bowers is on the shelf. And guys, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the wide receiver are atrocious this year. They give up 37 points a game. That ranks 28th. They've given up 81 freaking receptions just to the wide receiver. That is bottom 5. 971 yards. That is 3rd worst in the NFL. And 6 touchdowns through 6 games. That's a touchdown each to the wide receiver. And they haven't faced Patrick Mahomes. And you're at Arrowhead. The place is going to be absolutely freaking rocking. I've been there for a couple games. It is nuts. And you got number 4 stepping back on the field, and it is going to electrify everything. Get this man in your roster no matter what. Number 2, and no better time to come to the rescue right now than Big Mike Evans for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have just lost Emeka Egbuka with a hamstring, Chris Godwin re-injured again, Jalen McMillan out till Week 10, and the matchup you are going to get against the Detroit Lions is going to be absolute gold. But what you have to look at here is these stats first before you even dive into it. And this was with Emeka Egbuka out there. Obviously, Chris Godwin wasn't. And then Mike Evans went down in Week 3 with the hamstring at the end of the game, right? So he already had 27 targets, 14 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown. His target share was top 10 in the NFL, still at his old age, still getting the job done. Obviously, he carries the injury scare with him. Snap share, 80.8%. That's what you want with his age. Route participation, 92.4%. That's wide receiver 1 usage. Dude, he was number 1 in red zone targets and number 1 in deep zone or deep targets before he went down. Now you got Baker playing out of his mind. He had 34 points. He was wide receiver 70 at the time, but he had 34 points when he went down. So that's averaging 10, 11 points a game. Now, why do you see the smash that's going to happen here? You got a 52.5 over under Monday Night Football game. Both these defenses are beat up. And if I read off this list to you of the Detroit Lions. They're missing 5 of their 6 corners. They're missing Kirby Joseph went down for the safety. The other safety's banged up as well. Just listen to the list here and tell me that Mike Evans is not going to go nuclear in his first game back, right? So, Josh Pascal, their DN, is down. Alan McNeil, their DT, is down. Avonte Maddox is down. He's out. Marcus Davenport on injured reserve. Malcolm Rodriguez, their linebacker, is down. Terrion Arnold, their first-round draft pick corner, is down. Taylor Decker looked like he practiced today, so he might be out there. Cunningham, their linebacker, is down. Dorsey is down, injured reserve. DJ Reed is down, injured reserve. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on. Ezekiel Turner, their linebacker, down. Ennis Rakestraw, their other cornerback, number 4, down. Like, this is just the nightmare for the Detroit Lions on defense. Mike Evans coming back, practice today. Looks like he's going to play. Easily 15-point, 20-plus game for Mike Evans. Do not leave this big guy out of your roster this week. Number 3 is going to be Courtland Sutton, the wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. No better time than a bad week last week than to panic and don't think, oh, I'm going to not play Courtland Sutton because that game that happened in London. London games have all been ugly. Now, when you're looking at Courtland Sutton here in this matchup, so on the season, we'll look at his stats first. 40 targets, 27 receptions, 382 yards, 3 touchdowns, target share 20.7%. That's still low when wide receiver 1. Snap share 87.3. You'd like to see that in the 90s. That's what my wide receiver 1 like overall usage number, but that's still fine at 87. Route participation solid 92.9. Red zone targets 4, deep targets 6, and 83.2 points. He is wide receiver 15 on the year. And this is where people look at it wrong. Oh my God, he gave up 2 points to the Jets and Sauce Gardner got him. You get the New York Giants this week. And I know it's been a struggle with the Denver Broncos offense, but there's been one bright spot, and that's still Courtland Sutton. I mean, he's had 3 of the 6 games with 10-plus point. He had a 25-plus point game versus the Chargers in a tough matchup. And what you got to look at is Evan Ingram, who I just talked about in my tight end video for the rankings, is not getting Evan Ingram usage. He's still playing 40-50%. Courtland Sutton's still the overall, number 1 target guy. But if you look at like snaps and target per route ran, it's going to be Evan Ingram because he's getting 7 targets a game playing 40% of snaps. But in this matchup, you're going to get Jackson Dart, the Cam Scatabo hype, rip my shirt off on TV. The Broncos know this. They are going to be pissed off at Mile High. It's going to be a tough, tough matchup. And guess what the New York Giants struggle the most at? That is versus the wide receiver. Their front 7 is very good versus the running back, very good versus the tight end, and they're absolute trash versus the wide receiver. They give up 38.6 points a game. That ranks 3rd worst. 85 receptions, the most receptions in the NFL they've allowed to the wide receiver position. 1,070 freaking passing yards. That is the most they've allowed to wide receiver position alone in the NFL. That is barely that's barely ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. That's how bad these 2 teams are. The next teams aren't even close. That is how many passing yards they give up. I'm not going to guarantee it, but it's like a 90% chance for anytime touchdown, 15-point floor, and 20-point plus upside for Courtland Sutton. I absolutely love him this week. Put him in your lineup. Number 4 is going to be the target hog that I told you guys to target in your drafts because volume is king, is Chris Olave. And before we dive into it as well, you also have to throw in here that he is a heavy trade candidate right now. So nothing like a showcase game against the Chicago Bears to let Chris Olave go nuclear. So first, let's look at the stats here. 64 targets, number 2 in the NFL. I told you volume. 39 receptions, 342 yards, only 1 TD. You'd like to see those numbers go up. But here's what you got to look at, man. This is what you have to notice in fantasy football and just love. Target share, 32.3%. That is alpha elite wide receiver 1 usage. He's playing the slot at a 65% role in a Kellen Moore offense and the X wide receiver on the other side. He never comes off the field. Snap share, 82.9%. That's number 32. Route participation, number 9. That's alpha, 95.4%. Red zone targets, 8. That's number 5 in the NFL. And deep targets, number 7. That's 24. And you got to realize this is with Spencer Rattler, a quarterback, who is getting better. I don't want to trash Spencer Rattler. He's been a lot better than I thought he would be with how the Saints are this year. So Kellen Moore's done a great job there. And 78.2 points in the year. He's wide receiver 21. Now, in this matchup, you're going to get the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. The Bears are hot. The Bears are probably going to be ahead. Like the Saints usually, trail every single game, which is why I wanted to target these guys for volume, right? But who are the Bears missing? They're missing their superstar corner, Jalen Johnson, who is down for the year. Terrell Smith, their other right corner, went down as well on IR last week. And they have a corner that plays nickel That is where Chris Olave lives. That is one of the worst in Kyler Gordon. He gets cooked every single game. It's just a fact. Chris Olave is one of my favorite plays this week. When you look at the Bears defense, where do they struggle? They struggle versus the wide receiver. They rank 25th, giving up 34 points a game. They've given up 45 receptions, so not a lot of volume, but 689 yards. And guys, they've given up 8 touchdowns. That's third worst in the NFL. I expect Chris Olave to be an easy 15-plus point play with touchdown upside for 20-plus points this week. Get him in your lineups. Last but not least is going to be number 5, Deebo Samuel. Now, Deebo Samuel and the Commanders are going to be playing in the fireworks game against the Dallas Cowboys this week. And what's weird before we dive into the stats here is Terry McLaurin was limited on Wednesday and then popped up with a quad on Thursday and is not back out there, which if Terry McLaurin is not back out there, then you might as well put Deebo into the top 10. Like, I think I have him at wide receiver 11 or 12 right now, and he could be top 5 at this rate with how many points are going to fly in this game. The over-under was at 52.5. It was started. It went up to 55.5. I believe it got bet back down to 54.5 because it's way too high. I still think it's higher than that. I still think we're looking at a 60-plus point game here. But we got to look at Deebo Samuel. 43 targets, 34 receptions, 315 yards, 3 receiving TDs. You know he gets work on the ground as well. 8 carries, 45 yards, and a TD there. Target share 27.2%. That is great for Deebo Samuel. Snap share 74.4%. You'd like to see that in the 80s, but it's still not bad because he can get it done in one electric play either way. Route participation number 9, 91.4%. Red zone targets 4. Not bad for Deebo in the red zone, to be honest. Deep targets, I'd like to see that higher with Deebo. He's at 52, but he is, getting older in his career, so I guess, that's probably average. And he's wide receiver 8 overall in the season with 94 points. Now, what did the Dallas Cowboys just lose? Well, they just lost their safety, Malik Hooker, who is out for the season, I believe, or on IR for like 8 to 10 weeks, a long time. Josh Butler, their other right corner, is down. Trayvon Diggs has been getting cooked by everybody. And they didn't realize like how it was going to be with Micah Parsons gone. Like, this is common sense, Jerry Jones. The Dallas Cowboys defense is atrocious. They are the worst defense in football by a mile. That's why Dak Prescott in this offense has to score so many points every single game, and they look great because they can't stop shit. So versus the wide receiver, guys, excuse the cuss word, but it's funny to look at the Dallas Cowboy defense. They give up 42.6 points per game on average to the wide receiver. Behind them, on average, is the Baltimore Ravens at 39. That's a 3.6 average per game. That's how bad this defense is. 75 receptions for 1,027 yards. So 1,027 is second worst behind the New York Giants, who we just talked about with Courtland Sutton. That is why I love this matchup here for Deebo. Even if Terry's out there, I still love it. And they've, guys, 12 touchdowns. 12. Just to the wide receiver. So that is 2 touchdowns a game the Dallas Cowboys are giving up alone. That is terrible. Now, when you got JD5, Dak Prescott, JCM, Javonte Williams, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz, Jake Ferguson, you want to start them all in this game, and Deebo should not be a question at all. Easy 15-point floor with 20-plus point upside this week. Get him in your lineups. Thanks for rocking with me today. Now, this time, that is the end of the episodes today. I threw in an extra smash start because I had a couple extra minutes here. That is my 5 wide receivers that if you ask me, I'm going to say start no matter what, just because I absolutely love the situations they are in this week. Before we head out, guys, if you haven't already, help me out. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscription button. Turn that bell on. Again, I'll be live tonight, exactly 6 p.m. Eastern, so 2 hours from now. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can't make the live show, drop them in there. I'll try to answer every single one of them. But then I'm live again Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we recap on Monday, looking at where I was right, where I was wrong, so I can be better every single week for you guys. And I like to be transparent, show the misses as well. Like Calvin Ridley last week, man, that really hurt me, and I apologize to everyone that I probably swayed to start him. I did not know that he's going to pop a hammy, so that really hurt. If you guys haven't checked out the guys FF or drafters.com, they are pinned in the description and in the top of the comment as well. You can click those links, sign up, draft with us tomorrow. We talk football 24/7 in the Discord, off stream, anything you guys need, trades, everything. Me and Big Draft Energy cover it all, guys. Now, that is it for me today. I threw in a little extra smash video for you guys because I had a little extra time here. I'll be live again here in a minute. I hope to see you guys in the live show. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. You guys have been absolutely amazing. That's it for me, man. Sleazebomb out. Hope to see you guys in the show.